observations, sweet babies. Okay, I am here in my family's home with my family dog, O, and it's still kind of early, so he's sleeping. He doesn't want to get out of his warm spot right now, but I'm here to walk him in a little bit, kind of on the early side today, and I figured I would pull some cards while I'm here. I'm burning some cedar that my mom had. I'm assuming it's from our backyard somewhere. Knowing her, she probably grabbed it from one of the trees. Dogs are for sure coming up as a symbol right now. Dogs, to me, and in a lot of cultures, represent loyalty. But 111 just showed up on the timestamp to me, and I feel like in a sense, I feel like the idea of like your pack, your people, you're kind of being asked to maybe take leadership in that role. And if you don't really know what your pack is right now, there's just this energy of needing to focus on what do you think you need to be loyal to? What do you think you need to be focused on? And this is 57 shows up, and I might actually just do a 57 reading because I was actually thinking about doing like specific number and like numerology, the vibration of numerology readings. Anyway, focus on your blessings, focus on the silver linings, because Mars retrograde is coming to an end, so Mars is stationing direct, and I've talked about this a couple of times because I definitely was feeling into the energy, and I think just the overall community was feeling into this energy, and it was definitely a lot about what we were suppressing in our emotions, what was really disturbing us on a deep level, and in a way showing up and reflecting in our community. It was also restricting us by the way that it was reflecting in our joy. Like the stuff that we were suppressing was beginning to become a real disturbance and disruption to the chances we were taking in life, maybe around community, maybe around partnerships, just as a whole, our role in community, feeling like we just couldn't take chances in the things that really brought us joy, or believing in things, believing in good outcomes, blessings, miracles happening, things turning around in our favor. And it was overall like impacting the amount of joy we're having in life. I do want to just like speak to the kind of shake, rattle, and roll that we might feel as Mars goes direct, because we usually feel subtle shifts when, planets are making their final like exit or entrance into a new placement. I notice it when I'm keeping up with these things. I'm able to navigate it with a little bit more grace and dignity, if I do say so myself. Ask for divine protection in this time if need be, because the need may be. And expect miracles, expect divine intervention, expect blessings. Like, there's a lot of indicators here for that. The subtle shifts that might show up, though, as we really like leave the retrograde transit, is recovery and boundaries. Like, these two are showing up like very much in connection. Like, you can't have one without the other. Like, you can't have boundaries without recovering whatever was showing up for us during this Mars retrograde. And you can't really have, which one did I just say? You can't have recovery without boundaries around whatever the thing is. Maybe 555, like that one, how do I want to word this? It's like you want that change really bad. Like, you're looking for that change to happen, and you're looking for that repair, and you're looking for that recovery. You need to really stay firm in your boundaries, or maybe readdress your boundaries, look at your boundaries around certain things. Where are you really needing some like structure, discipline, framework, or maybe just straight up line in the sand about specific things? And to me, this looks like, maybe something like a sensitive topic of overindulgence or abusing something, taking something too far, and this in your heart to be true, something suppressed, something that just, it's that line in the sand feeling of like, I know I can't do any more of this, or take any more of this, or feel any more of this. And in order to have that recovery, you need to have boundaries. But in order to have boundaries, you need to be able to like really go in and repair and be noticing and witnessing the cycle that it is showing up time and time again. Let's see. What is suppressed from this Mars retrograde? Like I said, probably a lot of emotional things. I've talked about this in previous readings, but there's probably like anger. Mercury retrograde, which was around the time of December, I believe was the last one. Was there another one recently? Let's look at this. And I like to fact check. In the meantime, let's just see. Okay. No, we have one showing up, but last year in December, so right before we entered into the calendar new year, there was a lot of, from the collective, there was a lot of like recommitting to something, or just committing to something for ourselves, and just getting very serious about something, probably regarding whatever this is, whatever under the surface sort of feeling that you have going on, or that's been showing up throughout Mars retrograde. It probably has something to do with the commitments that were made around the time of Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde, they say like, oh, don't sign any contracts, don't enter anything binding, it's not a good time for that. I don't always agree with that. I think there's a lot of other placements that are involved in things, and a lot of other just factors to just make that statement as a whole. But I do think that what Mercury retrograde does is it will bring this back to you in some way and somehow. And it's kind of up to us with how we navigate it. And like I said before, when I'm really keeping up with what's going on astrologically, I can have a little bit more, I guess, prep time on how to navigate that instead of just kind of panicking and trying to figure things out like all the time as I'm feeling it through it. There has been this energy of emotional unavailability, feeling like there's a situation that's just taken up way too much time in your life. You're over it. You want to close the door on it. It seems like it's something that's gotten in the way of your commitments, probably relationally in the past, whether this is with partnerships of any kind, business, collaborators, creative partners, or romantic partners. It seems like it's just gotten in the way of this time and time again. And it's not necessarily what's going on with these partnerships, but what's gone on under the surface with you that shows up in these relationships time and time again, asking to be healed, asking to be worked through. And that's why I've been talking about this retrograde for so many weeks now, because I think it's such a beautiful way for us to like move through this thing that's really been causing issues for us for probably a long period of time. And the reason that I wanted to do like a final reading on this is because we have a new moon in Pisces coming up on the 27th of February. I hear Buddy Boy moving around in there. We have this new moon coming up, and it's a really, really powerful time to set intentions on something 222 on a timestamp, probably regarding the way you show up in relationship, right? But it's going to be really focused on how you are aligning spiritually to this thing, your soul's purpose, your values. And I think it would really be silly to not like use what we've been noticing and feeling and what's been bubbling up, asking for us to stop suppressing these things over this Mars retrograde. It would be such a waste of valuable information and insights that we've been connecting to. Intuition is a card that showed up here. Like, you should know intuitively by now. Like what this is like, and it's just a you thing. Like, you didn't have to necessarily be sharing this with anyone. This isn't something that like you are necessarily even working through with like a therapist. Like, this could just be something that you've been noticing taking shape and taking place like more prominently in your consciousness. Like, it's showing up, it's making you aware. This significant times for this energy would have been Cancer full moon. That was in January, I think. I don't actually know if that's accurate. I'm not going to check that one right now, but I will before I post this. Leo full moon, Aries full moon. Okay, so I'm noticing a sign or a pattern here, right? Like, these full moons have been illuminating this thing, and it's been like a trail to follow, like literally like divinely protected path for you to follow. And like, it is illuminating this pathway for you of like significant things. It might be worth your while to go and look at what was happening for you in your own journey, in your own life, on Cancer full moon, Aries full moon, Leo full moon. So these are moons going back to November, October even, with maybe even Scorpio full moon. I believe we had a Scorpio full moon in October, possibly, or late November. I'm not sure. But we are going to have a Pisces new moon showing up here. And this is a really beautiful way, I think, for us to stay aligned on this path. Sagittarius season was probably also significant because we already talked about how Mercury retrograde, that was during Sagittarius season. This was a time when you wanted to change something very specific. 5:55 on the timestamp just showed up. This was a time when you were ready for change in a specific value, in a specific, it looks like boundary and recovery around something. And it looks like there could be energies at play that get in the middle of this. Whether or not you're letting them get in the middle of this is another question. But it seems like this energy of maybe someone trying to sabotage it or get in the middle of this, it's like just this energy, like this influential energy from outside of yourself that feels really negative and like it's working oppositional to what you really wanted for yourself and what you were really committed to back in this time period. And now, through Mars retrograde, it's showing up again, and it's showing like what was really suppressed and needing healing and what you were committed to. This could really be around lust. I know this is interesting, but bear with me. In the way of like how we romanticize certain things, or like, do we have a fantasy way of looking at things? Like, are we really based in reality around certain issues? Yeah, just kind of like this how practical, how grounded, how real are we looking at a specific situation? Do we have a tendency to maybe romanticize something, or do we have like a kind of head in the clouds energy around the situation? Maybe that's how we've been coping or suppressing this issue, was with like, escaping by being a little bit more of a space cadet and like not being the most grounded and realizing what we're feeling in our body. Or maybe we romanticize the drama and the chaos of a situation instead of like having a really rooted, solid view on the situation. Or this could just be like not a practical way to look at relationship. I literally just saw, what was that? I'm not sure what kind of bird that was, but it's just like, what viewpoint are you having on the situation? There's been a lot of like birds showing up for my readings, so I just kind of want to go with the idea of like a bird's eye view of the situation. Are you too removed from a situation? Are you so like in your head, in your ego, in your own self in a situation, that you're just like so romanticized or so like disconnected from what your body is showing you, and you're just like using this way of operating to cope, right? Like that's kind of what it's showing up. Like there could be somebody who strongly influences this part of you, either from past or present. Someone in your past that really had a deep influence on you in this way. Or this could be somebody currently who just kind of still brings this energy around you, and it's kind of sabotaging the way that you wanted to show up and the way that you were committed to showing up. Again, around the Mercury retrograde in the time of Sagittarius season, which was December, I want to say around the 13th through 15th was when it was kind of going back direct. And yeah, just through those full moons, it was illuminating literally a path of like where the healing needs to go, what needs those boundaries, what needs recovery. And if you were listening along with my readings, then you should kind of feel pretty aligned with what you want to start setting intentions around for all of this stuff that was showing up for you, with this new moon that's coming up in Pisces again on the 27th, and we literally just saw 27. Okay. Remember that even if there is like somebody who's maybe a negative influence in your life, or there's a person from your past who, was really traumatic for you to be involved with, or maybe there's like a situation, a behavior or whatever that you just want to like close the door on, maybe a way of thinking, a way of operating that you want to just close the door on, and you want to see end and you want to see finished. It's not that they're evil and bad and you have to like demonize them, right? Because that's just another way of not really being rooted in reality. For me, the truly like most grounded way that I can look at it is like I was able to maybe be really activated by this person or this situation, this thing that happened in my past that I've been suppressing, this, way of thinking. Like it has been really activating. It has set me back in my, quote unquote, set me back right in my path, or it's caused so many issues for me, and I just want to let it go. So it must be this like horrible demonic thing. No. It is always a blessing or a lesson, right? Like it can be both sometimes. 3:33 on the timestamp. Use your intuition. Like, all of these things, whether they impacted us negatively at first, right, and then catalyst us into healing and changing for the better, hopefully, all of these things are there for our growth journey, for our best interest. Like, we can't necessarily develop good, positive skills beyond what we already knew and had if we don't face some challenges and some opposition in the mix, So when it comes to like these situations that we are noticing in our journey here, things that maybe were suppressed, a situation with a person that's just like really disrupting what we were committed to with all of this, and we're just noticing the cycle, we're noticing like that train of thought that brings us back to like a traumatic time. Like that was the energy of Mars retrograde. Like it's important not to feed fear into that and think, okay, like that whole thing was, horrible and evil and terrible. Like, yeah, it was. But I am able to learn this, and this from that experience. And I get to, like, decide to recover in whatever way that I want to and feel however I want to feel about that situation, and make it something that I'm now stronger because of, and I'm empowered now because I know how to handle this, and I speak on this, and so on and so forth. Like, I talked about sacred rage in a reading couple weeks ago, like right around the Mars retrograde transit, and it's a very healing and powerful emotion that we can use when we're using it consciously. So it's like, not that we shouldn't be angry, it's not that we shouldn't have the feelings that we have, or react because of things that happen to us. Like, we have every right and every reason to, but we have now the power to do, like, other things with that anger. We have the focus, the structure, and the personal power to decide, like, to handle that in a better way that can be healing for other people, or just healing for truly just ourselves. We don't even have to do it for other people. I want to just speak a little bit to... Actually, just give me one moment. I'm going to see if any clarifiers want to show up for this, and then I'll call it a wrap. 111. How funny. Of course, recovery. There it is again. Distorted reality. Loss of truth. Suppression. Pisces. Follow your bliss. You're not taking chances in your bliss anymore, in your joy. You're holding back. You're holding back in your partnerships. You're holding back because of whatever this thing has been showing up. It's been draining you, and it's been warping your sense of reality, or it's been a coping mechanism, something that's been used to cope for whatever you are being shown through this Mars retrograde. Like, it's messing with your joy and your bliss, and, like, no more of that. Full moon, yes, hello, we were just talking about this. Those full moons have been illuminating, and I presume on the full moon coming up next month, there will be a lot of healing and insight to be found on that one too. So you might want to be, staying aligned with that, whether that's just on your own or through these readings. All right, so the art of letting go, all underneath, move on, waste of time, it needs to be over, endings. You know what else showed up? Let go and let God. Someone prayed for this. Okay, so whatever this thing is, it was very real and very big, and really took up a lot of your good, loving energy for a very long time, probably too long, to the point where it just feels like now it's a waste of your precious energy to give anything more to this. You need to ask for divine intervention on this situation and trust and believe that you will receive that. Practice the art of letting go. Let go of whatever this thing is. Someone really was praying for healing around the situation, and this came through, and in the other reading I did around, like, Mars and all of this anger and everything, was like the prayers that people prayed over you from decades ago are still prayed over you now and still whispered over your aura. Like, it's always there with you. So if this is something that's been suppressed for a very long time, you know, people who were involved or people who were advocates for you during this time, like, they were really whispering prayers of protection and healing for you. And it's showing up for you now under all of these full moons. It's being illuminated for you now because you are good and ready to take leadership in this situation. This is leadership around self-love, okay? This is leadership around love and connection and letting people in and partnership and the joy of being in connection, okay? And when I tell you that the symbol of chance is showing up here with 2 fuzzy dice, 2 partnerships, it's like connection. It also is showing here 8 on the dice, which is infinity, which means like infinite potential for connections and infinite potential for to just take chances and for the odds to end up being in your favor. And take chances in community that feels safe and loving for you. Set boundaries around whatever feels like a disruption to the growth of your community and the way that you connect to others, so that you can really take more chances around joy and happiness and less dicey, risky chances around things to try to protect yourself or cope or whatever's been disturbing your recovery and your boundaries, truthfully. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So there's a couple transits that are showing themselves through March, and I'm really excited to be ahead of the game. So I am planning to do some other readings for us, friends, so that we can just stay in flow with all of this. So I'm going to be doing some of those very soon. I'm not sure if I'm going to stay here at my family's home and do them or if I'm going to relocate, but I will be doing more readings. So I hope that you keep up with what I'm sharing. And if you're finding it insightful and useful, please feel free to let me know somehow. I always appreciate knowing if what I'm saying is landing or being received, but it's just really been healing for me to share these readings and tap back into this modality, this practice of mine, regardless. So I'm just glad whenever it is received by somebody and feels useful to somebody. So, all right, friends, all my lovin'.